Little Cayman, your station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
In answer to his question about the subjects,
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
oh, what a compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? There are hopeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up to God or we fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public would say.
Good afternoon, Cayman Islands, and welcome to Talk Today here on Radio Cayman. We have a number of interesting things lined up for you today, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. I am your host, Gilbert McLean, sitting in for Sterling Ebanks. And I suspect I might be around here for a few days, so I look forward to talking with you folks as usual, hearing what are your views and what's on your mind. And, of course, I'm very interested in your opinion. Right now we have a lineup to various segments. And the first one, there are three ladies here with me, and though they gave me their names, I'm going to ask one of them, Cheryl Thompson, if she will introduce herself, even though I've just introduced her, and introduce the other persons with you.
Good afternoon, Mr. McLean. Thank you so much for welcoming us here today. Cheryl Thompson, as you mentioned, I am associated with the Rising Stars Dance Ministry through being the MC for the event Dance for Christ for the last 2 years, and it's my pleasure, of course, to be back on board this year. With us in studio this afternoon is our visionary group leader, artistic director. She's mother to the group. She serves in so many different roles, and she's really the glue that keeps the group together. We're talking about Ingrid Thompson. And joining us as well is Lindsay Graham. She is one of the founding members. A young woman though she is, she's definitely one of the original members joining us today.
Well, thank you very much for that. You being the MC, you're quite at ease here in the studio. So we have with us Ingrid, Lindsay, and Cheryl. Now, I see, and I get the impression that the Rising Star Dance Ministry has something to do with a particular church, and you express your feelings and so on through dance. Exactly what is it? Give us a bit of an overview. I would direct that
question to Ingrid.
Okay. Good afternoon, Cayman. It's a pleasure being here with you, Mr. Gilbert. The Rising Star Dance Ministry has been in existence since 2005. Presently, the group consists of 11 members. This year, we recruited 5 new members, the youngest being 6 years old and the eldest being 19. We are an interdenominational dance group under the leadership of Pastor Delroy Gale from the Christ Cathedral Community Worship Center. We welcome any young people that is interested in dancing to be a part of this ministry. And we host this event each year to highlight talents of all range across the island. And so we want to continue this so that our young people can know that dancing is a form of worship and that they are welcome to utilize this platform to glorify God.
Indeed, it's certainly a way of expression, and a lot of things can be said through dance, can't it? I mean, I have a bit of knowledge of Bible myself, and I remember reading in one part of it that King David danced as he came into Jerusalem, I think it was. So it goes on. Now, you have this is a special event planned this time around, as I dare say is the case in each instance. Where and what date and what sort of dance program do you have in mind, or that you will be presenting?
Well, the event will take place this year at the Family Life Center on Saturday, November 17th at 7 p.m. We have a vast range of lineup for you, as I said before. Later on in the show, we will give you an outline of the various performances that we will have on stage on November 17th.
Okay, so now you don't dance, I take it, Cheryl, or do
a little,
you?
but not on stage.
Okay. Well, now the ones who are going to be dancing, I dare say, you will be dancing. Is it Lindsay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, tell us something about what you expect to be presenting. Is it any particular theme, or how does it work?
Well, it's not particularly a theme for Dance for Christ. It's just that young people of the Cayman Islands, our own people here, they come out, they show their talents for Christ. They do anything that, because we don't only dance, we mime, monologues, and different aspects of talents will be displayed on that night.
Okay. So there obviously will be music and singing. Will that be a part of what happens during the time of the dance and as well?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So there will also be a mass choir as well, and also John Gray band. No, Clifton Hunter band, sorry, will be playing as well.
This then is if anything, it's a bigger program. Which dance will be a part of it, will it?
Correct. Yes. Right. So even though it's hosted by the Rising Stars Dance Ministry, and the core of it, as it were, the nucleus for it is dance, we are hosting a number of different talents. Over the years, we've welcomed just about any talent, as long as it's praise, worship, keep it clean, as it were, because that's our focus. Yes. I want people to, especially the young people to know that Christian life is full of joy, right? Yes. And satisfaction, and God accepts their gifts with or without perfection, and that's how the ministry come in.
And this present number is 11, I understand.
Yes.
Do all of the others, do they dance as well, or...
Absolutely. The dance ministries consisted of 11 members, and they are the ones that will be performing on stage on November 17th.
Excellent. So what supporters should expect to see when you all are performing?
As we mentioned earlier,
17th.
Talents from our own young Caymanians, such as singing, drama, dance, instrumental, miming, rapping. As Lindsay mentioned earlier, a live band, that's the Clifton Hunter Band. Just a satisfying feeling of being entertained by our own local talent, and I think that should be a good enough reason to come out. Among the performers, we have people like Andrea Simpson, Pastor Delano. The UCCI dancers are very, very popular. They're always highly anticipated by our audience members. Eastern Apostolic, Michelle T., who recently performed at the Jamaica Independence celebrations. And Michelle T. has released a new album as well, so a lot of people are looking out for her performance. As a matter of fact, she's known as Cayman's Gospel Queen. Yes. So she's another person that people are looking forward to seeing. Dance Unlimited will be there, and just a long list of folks we'll continue to mention as we speak with you this afternoon.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's not just confined to your particular group. There are others as well that's performing.
That's correct.
So it's going to be a very big event then.
A variety show.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a talent exposition. We are showcasing all talents straight across the board. We don't leave out anyone. If you can clap your hands and that's what you want to come on stage and do, we welcome it, as long as it's giving glory to God.
Who's going to be the rapper?
We have two rappers. We have DJ Zamar and we have Saran Bibical. They are excellent. I think the young people are coming just to hear them.
Well, that's the rap. That's the modern thing.
Yes.
I listen to it, but maybe I don't appreciate it the way that I should. But I know that is what happens now, and some of the most famous people right now in the world as singers are rappers.
Absolutely, and even speaking for myself, I'm not somebody who has really gravitated towards rap over the years, maybe in the 80s or 90s kind of stuff, but for the most part I really haven't gravitated towards or enjoyed rap. But I must tell you that gospel rap has had me listening to rap music.
Well, that's good. That gets a message across, obviously.
Yes, it does. I'm trying to reach the young people. A lot of young people are not necessarily interested in the traditional church or the traditional ways of praise and worship, and this is one way of reaching them.
Well, we got to go to a quick break now, but when we come back, perhaps you will tell our listeners why dance for Christ as opposed to doing other things that might be musical or other ways of expressing your feelings on Christian values.
That's right.
So we'll take a short break. We will be back. Do stay tuned. There's more to come.
Hi, fellow classmates. This is Donna with roll call for our CIHS Class of 78 40-year reunion. Barracuda, Dolphin, Marlin, Tarpon, Wahoo, represent. Save the dates, November 9th through the 11th. We want everybody to come out for great food, great music, great company, and great memories. Link up now on the reunion Facebook page, CIHS Class of 78, or email CIHS78@gmail.com for more details. And see you in November. Cutting class reunion will affect your final grade. I wonder if Mr. Whiteside would give me a merit note for this.
Class of 78, call the Classique to leave your contact information.
Cayman Kind is the Cayman experience.
We work at the Cayman Craft Market.
It is a myth that we do not need the cruise ship industry.
It is a fact that when there are no ships in port, we do not earn a living. We depend on the cruise industry, and if it was to reduce by half, many others just like us would suffer immensely. We want to work and provide for our families.
We need the pier.
Support the piers. Support our tourism.
RC Fusion, featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Country and Western. No mess, no fuss. Just the best in Caymanian cuisine at a price you can afford.
Country and Western now offering delivery. Call 945-4079.
RC Fusion.
RC Fusion.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today here on Radio Cayman, where we're having a discussion with the Rising Star Dance Ministry. And just before we went to the break, I said I would ask, why dance for Christ? Why, as opposed to other talents?
Well, there seems to be a misperception out there that dancing is ungodly or that it's unacceptable in the house of the Lord, merely because of its nature. But during some of our road tours where we have interacted with young people, we have seen many dancers who have expressed and shared these views with us, and we wanted to change that misperception and to highlight that dancing is a form of worship. It is written in the Word of God that dancing is a form of expression and giving God glory. And as you mentioned before, Mr. Gilbert, David clearly demonstrated that for us when he danced his clothes off. So dancing is indeed worship and giving honor to God. And we wanted young people to know that if dancing is what you do, we welcome that into the house of the Lord, and it is acceptable as long as you are dancing and worshiping God in a clean and orderly fashion.
Well, again, times have changed. One time, if you went to church, you were supposed to sit there quietly make no noise. Just when you were supposed to sing, you sang, and when you were supposed to put in your collection, you did that, and that was the extent of it. But I've observed that more and more I see even members of a church in motion when they're singing, and the movement is there, which wasn't there before. So that it's a timely thing. It's something that's now broken through to what perhaps it used to be.
Yes, absolutely. And we don't want to give that perception to young people that if you're not a singer, you can't worship God, or if you're not a good writer, or you can't read the word, you're not welcome into the house of the Lord. I feel God gave us these gifts, and He welcomed them back into His house to give Him glory and honor, and that's what we are trying to highlight here, that it doesn't matter what you can do, as long as you bring it to God, He will accept it. And we just wanted to focus on dancing because that was a vision that God gave to me, and I saw where a lot of young people in the community were interested in this, but they felt that it would not have been accepted into the house of God, and I wanted to give them that reassurance that it was, and we just wanted to pull them in by all means.
And you want them to, of course, to feel that they're not doing something wrong.
Exactly.
They dance. It's their way of expressing.
Yes.
Right, because as we mentioned earlier, there are different ways of dancing. We talk of, gyrations. Obviously, that's not necessarily, that's not acceptable. But there are ways, movements of the body that is not lewd, suggestive, or offensive in any way, because we have to consider our audience as well, who come with a certain expectation.
Yes.
And your members, are there among your members persons who are particularly good at any particular type of dance, or how does it go, or is it just a collective thing among you when you start to dance?
Okay, I'll leave that one with Lindsay, since she's the expert in the studio with us today.
Sorry, I'm so nervous.
Don't be. Just tell us as it is.
Well, as Ms. Ingrid said earlier, we are consist of 11 vibrant youths between the ages of 6 and 22 years old. We retain 5 original members as myself, Lindsay, Roxine, Misha, Rochelle, and Micaiah. And the group is always revolving. It's expected to shift because over a period of time we will go off to college, we will migrate, things do come up. And our members are highly involved in community projects. We have present and former cadets, student nurses, Pines, volunteers, island-wide cleanups initiatives, church projects, and we also do donate gift cards and food items to the Department of Family and Children's Services. And we are a very diverse group that youths of the island, we have the youths of the island at heart. So we expect anyone to join. You don't have to be always going to church. You could just come because over a period of time you do feel the need to go to church. Your beliefs will be enhanced and stuff like that. So we do hope that people do come out and support.
Well, you're on the air and people out there, they're hearing it, and of course we want to remind them where it's going to be and the date and the time and so on. But do you actually go and seek these young persons to come in and join with you, or is there an attraction to it through those persons going to church, or what has been the experience?
Well, we did do one drive one time. It was at the Foster's Airport Park, and that's when we got re-recruited to. I forgot her name.
Well, we did recruit 2 members last year through a drive that we did at Foster's, as Lindsay mentioned. And this year, we've merely been recruiting. As we host this show year after year, we're hoping that young people will see what we do through that platform and come on board, capture the vision. And also by visiting a number of churches on island, because we do travel across the island and perform. And through our performances, we have had persons express interest of wanting to be a part of the group. Hence the reason we were able to recruit 5 new members this year.
So you take it to other districts, do you?
Yes, we perform basically in every church on the island so far, and persons are constantly requesting for us to come back and perform at their home churches.
Right. So that's the Rising Stars Dance Ministry as a group. The 11 members travel throughout the districts. Now, of course, this show is a much bigger event, an exposition of talent where we involve other forms, art forms, as it were. But the core group, the 11 members, go around the island and perform.
What about practice?
Yes, we have weekly practices. Our set dates for practices are Wednesdays and Saturdays. And, of course, right now we are hyped because we're in preparation mode for the show. So we basically practice every day for the past couple of months to get prepared for this event.
So they say practice makes perfect.
Yes.
So therefore, each time you practice or each time you do a performance, you become more proficient in it.
Yes, absolutely. And we do have members in our dance ministry that is a part of the UCCI dance group with Miss Monica. She has been imparting some knowledge there as well and giving guidance where necessary. So we do have Roxine, who is our ballerina in the dance group, Lindsay, who's our praise dancer, and we have different individuals in the dance ministry that takes different parts of the praises. So we have persons who are specialized in flags, we have mimers and so forth. So it's not just one set dance that we focus on. We have a vast range of movements and dances that we exercise through this ministry.
Okay. Well, Cheryl, tell us a little about your role. You're the MC.
Yes. Basically, I perform all the duties that the MC does. It's technically to just keep everything going smoothly, stitch everything together, as it were. So, as anybody who goes to an event knows, the MC is there to keep the energy up, introduce the various acts, fill a little bit when we have delays between items and so on, and just ad-lib in general and keep the audience interested as we move from piece to piece, as we move from item to item. And of course, give some encouragement to the performers themselves, because as many times as we go on stage, I'm sure that I'm like that too. As many times as we go on stage, we're still a little bit nervous. Yes. So people need encouragement and just to get them prepped and hyped, even though they're already hyped because they're ready for the show. But when you get there, you do get the jitters, And so I'll be on stage. As I said, just pulling everything together. Sharing the stage with me will be Ricardo, brother Ricardo, very well known in our community, very popular radio DJ, previously Love FM. He's now doing his own Gospel FM, internet radio, doing a lot of work through his own PR productions, I think he's calling it. A very dynamic MC, and he has been supporting this event from inception. So every year he has come out and lent his support to the event, for which, as a matter of fact, he got an award a couple of years ago. Yes. This is how much the group has appreciated what he's done. So we're going to be sharing the role of MC. We're going to be sharing the mic, as it were. He does a little bit of singing, and I do a little bit of singing, and, just keep everything rolling along.
Okay, your group is one, but there's quite a lineup here of persons that will be involved in this, isn't it? I mean, maybe you might want to just touch on that again and name some of the persons that will be at this particular event.
Sure. We listed just about about 8 or so participants earlier, and we continue with the list with the Victory Tabernacle Dance Group, the famous Cousins, and they are famous indeed and very popular performers, Frank Sound Church of God Fusion Dance Ministry, Skippy Dexterous Brothers. They are very, very entertaining, very talented young men, again appealing to the youth. LeBron McLean, Charlotte Nelson, she'll be doing a monologue. Shakira Ebanks playing the flute, adding some more variety. Dance Unlimited, they recently had their season of dance, celebrated their 30th anniversary, had their performance at the Harkwell. They took the event to Northside and to Cayman Brack. So they too are a very popular and well-loved group, and lending Their support to the dance ministry as well is always welcome. Centerpoint Dance Company, Dream Chasers Dance Company, there's the Glory Brothers, of course the host of the event, the Rising Stars Dance Ministry, JJZ Dance Group, another group of talented young ladies.
They took the house down last year.
I've seen those sisters. They're sisters, and they have just grown. Usually the youngest performers always steal the show. They're sort of the cutest, but these young ladies are very, very talented. Remind me of the ages of the group again, Ingrid?
I think the youngest was 5.
And they actually choreograph their own numbers as well, their own dance pieces. So they're young ladies to watch.
So would it be true then to say that, what you hear is that young people are growing away from the church, growing away from religion and so on, but listening to what you're saying, the lineup of people who are going to be there for one thing, and what you're saying, that's not altogether the case, is it?
No, that definitely not. And this is the reason why we host this show each year, is to keep them connected and to have something positive for them to look forward to each year. And if we don't support them as the elder generation, then definitely that myth might be truth in months to come, because they will start to stray if they're not getting the support that they need from the more mature ones. And this is the reason why we're making an appeal for the entire Cayman Island to come out and support these young people, because they need your support. They say encouragement sweeten labor. So we want persons to come out and cheer them on. They have worked very hard to put these pieces together, and it would be very bad to know that they go on stage and there's no one there to cheer them and to let them know that we support what you're doing, we support your vision, we want you to continue on this path. It is a good path, and this is the reason why we are here today, to encourage Cayman Island to come out and support our young people. They're all Caymanians, they're our children, and we need to ensure that we keep them on this path.
Absolutely, there has to be a balance, and then we need to take a brief, about a 2-minute break, so stay tuned. You're listening to Talk Today. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Welcome to our Esso service station. How can I help you today, ma'am?
$25 in fuel, please.
Sure. I bet I can make you smile, too.
Bet you can't.
Would $5,000 cash make you smile?
Of course. Who wouldn't? But how?
Spend $25 or more in fuel at any of our Esso service stations, and you could be the winner of $5,000 cash. Every week for 5 weeks, one lucky winner will win $5,000 cash. Made you smile, didn't I?
I'm smiling.
Drive into an Esso station today. The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place for traditional Cayman cuisine. Oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
CUC advises motorists that in an effort to alert approaching drivers of speed restrictions when entering an area of road where CUC vehicles and personnel are present, the company will be deploying rumble strips. These rumble strips are a series of raised transverse rubber strips laid across the road which changes the noise a vehicle's tires make on the surface and so warning drivers of speed restrictions. On approaching CUC's work zones, motorists will observe bright orange road signs signifying rumble strips ahead. Before entering these work zones, motorists will encounter the rumble strips that are encouraged to drive with extreme caution at slow speeds until they are well clear of the work zones. These rumble strips are essential to safeguarding against potential danger to CUC personnel. If you have any questions regarding the use of rumble strips, please contact our customer service team at 949-5200 or via email at service@cuc.ky.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm your host, Gilbert McLean, sitting in for Sterling Ebanks. And we have with us persons associated with the Rising Star Dance Ministry. And we've been hearing how involved they are, and that we have persons as young as 6 years old who are involved with it. And altogether, there's a group of 11. And on Saturday, November 17th, they will be performing, and the whole idea is to get the message out that people can come and encourage them, enjoy their performances, and along with their performances, there's a host of other things that's happening as well. We actually have one call. Would you want to take it? It's up to you.
Sure.
Okay, let's take the call.
Hello.
Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. McLean, Christian here.
Good afternoon.
To your guest.
Good afternoon.
First of all, I find it kind of amusing when you mention King David, because he danced naked on the housetop. I hope it's not intention of these ladies to do that. I think not.
Not at all.
What I want to find out is a lot of Bob Marley songs are very popular, and they're very spiritual. Do you incorporate any of Bob Marley's music in your program, or are you considering? That's all I want to thank you.
Okay, thank you for your call. And the question, of course, is some of Bob Marley's music is quite spiritual. Are you involved with that? Would that be acceptable in what you do?
Absolutely. I love Bob Marley and I love his music.
So do I.
We don't presently have any piece on his songs, but it is something that we could look into, and we thank the caller for that question. We don't have any restrictions on any of his songs or anything of that nature. There's no discrimination where that is concerned. Absolutely. His songs are clean. They have good messages, and that's what we're about, promoting good and conscious messages.
Okay. Well, I hope our listener heard that, and maybe he might be interested enough that he would come out and see what's happening on the 17th.
Absolutely.
But Cheryl, you're also doing some giveaways.
That's right.
And fill us in on that.
So we want to give away 2 tickets this afternoon. Of course, leading up to the show, there'll be more giveaways on Radio Cayman. But this afternoon, we want to give away 2 tickets. We do have 2 questions. And so before we ask the question, just want to remind you that the tickets are $10 pre-sold. You can pick them up at Funky Tanks or Christ Cathedral. And at the door, it will be $15. Children under 12 pay only $5. So here's your opportunity to get a couple of free tickets. Our first question, as this is our 7th year, and the number 7 is also God's perfect number, we want to give the 7th caller 2 tickets. So it's not even a question. You just have to pick up the phone and call. And Susan, when you get to the 7th caller, that caller will be a winner. So again, this is our 7th year of staging the Rising Stars Dance Ministry presentation, Dance for Christ. Number 7 is also God's perfect number. We want to give the 7th caller 2 tickets. Caller, Mr.
Well, okay. I think we need to let the folks know what the number here is. 1-800-534-8255. That's 1-800-534-8255. So give us a call and you stand the opportunity. The 7th caller will get one of these free tickets. So, folks, get ready to call. Miss Susan, she's ready to accept the call. So
right. So this caller will win 2 tickets.
Correct.
So for this particular call, that person will win 2 tickets. Then we'll have a couple more tickets to give away.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. We'll have a question after this. When we get this winner, then we'll ask the question.
Excellent. And once again, the costs of the tickets are...
It's $10 pre-sold. Again, we remind you that you can pick your tickets up at Funky Tanks or at Christ Cathedral. And just $10 pre-sold, $15 at the gate. Very, very affordable, we would like to say. Children pay only $5. Children under 12 years old pay only $5. Remember, it's Saturday, November 17th. It's at the Church of God Chapel, a brand new venue for us. First time that we'll be at this venue. Family Life Center on Walkers Road. The gates open at 6 o'clock. Showtime will be at 7 sharp.
It's important to be on time because if not, you'll be missing something, won't they?
Yes,
absolutely.
indeed.
And you want to be at the front seat, so you need to come on out early because we're expecting a full show.
And once again, the number to call is 1-800-534-8255. Give us a call. The person who calls in now will actually win 2 tickets.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
People, get moving to the phone. Give us a call. We're waiting to hear from you. How does this event benefit the youth, or how does it help with the religious attraction for young people? How do you see it as affecting that?
Well, I think it's very effective because it keeps them positive. It also keeps them away from violence and crime, because I see that the crime in Cayman Islands is actually rising at the moment. And they're also guided by the Word of God, so that reduces the crime and violence with the participants and the people who come out to support. And it's a very positive event for our youths to look forward every year.
And you say it's multi-denominational,
yeah.
You know, it's not confined to any one particular church.
That's correct.
So then, do you perform at other
churches?
Yes, absolutely. We have performed, like I said earlier, at most of the churches on the island. We have not gone to Cayman Brackers yet, but we have performed in the New Testament body here in the Cayman Islands. We have not gone over to the Brat, but hopefully soon. We also travel to Jamaica and overseas as well and perform there. So we are not restricted to any one church in our group. We have members from different religion, so it's not just a group of persons from one church.
That's good. Right. I mean, you actually are not confined to Cayman either, so you've actually traveled overseas. I think we might have the seventh caller, so let's take that call, shall we, Miss Susan? Good afternoon. Your caller, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gilbert, and good afternoon to all you guests.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
We're good.
Well, thank you for calling. Lucky caller number 7.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad I could win.
All right. Would you mind if we ask your name?
Sure. It's Flynn.
Okay. Where are you calling from?
Georgetown.
All right. Where in Georgetown?
Like around the schools area.
All right. That's good enough. Thank you for listening and thank you for calling. And we hope that by winning 2 tickets, you'll encourage other people to come out as well.
And please,
definitely.
Please stay on the line because Ms. Susan will take your number, and when you come in, you can collect the tickets from her.
I sure will. I hope everybody has a great day and a great week, and God bless you all.
Thank you, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the show.
Thank you.
Right. Great.
Well,
all right.
There you go. I mean, that's positive. There's a caller who responded to the call.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that it was a gentleman too.
Yes, yes, very rare.
That's great.
That's comforting.
So we'll ask the other question then. Now we'll actually ask a question so that we make sure that we can give away 2 more tickets before we get out of here, Mr. Gilbert.
Yes, please.
So where did Dance for Christ take place last year and what okay, let me rephrase. Where did Dance for Christ house last year's, and what did that individual take away like the most about the show? Okay, so what we're asking is, where was the event hosted last year? And the caller, when you call, we're hoping that you're someone who has in fact attended the show, or maybe you got some feedback from someone who attended the show. What we're looking for is some feedback to say what impact the show made on you. What did you take away from the show? What is it that you liked most about the show? Correct. If you got some answers to those, it's a multiple question actually. It's a question with many parts. But if you can give us a call and just have a quick discussion with us about that, then you can have 2 tickets to get back to this year's show.
Yes, and number again, 1-800-534-8255. If there's someone out there who has seen one of the show, the last show, in fact.
Correct.
Where it was.
That's right.
Where did it take place?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other part of the question?
What did you like most about the show? What was the takeaway from the show?
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
How did that show impact you?
Okay. So, folks, you have the opportunity of calling in and answering those questions and getting to free tickets. And we have the news coming up, so give us a call quickly, and there's a chance that you might get it right before we have to go to the break, which is in about another 2 minutes.
All right. So I guess at this point we'll tell our sponsors thank you.
Yes, we want to give thanks to our sponsors because without them, this show would not have been possible. So we want to say thanks to Mr. Gary Rutty over there at Burger King, who has been a faithful sponsor for 3 consecutive years. Mr. Joel Jefferson over by Domino's, Wendy's,
and Mr. Omar Chambers of Link International, a true man of God who supports our vision and our youth, in fact. And, of course, Radio Cayman for supporting this event for the past 3 years and afforded us this opportunity to amplify and to spread the word and, get the details out there for the event near and far in these last 3 years. A heartfelt thanks to Mr. Raymond Singh and the management and team of Radio Cayman for your kind patronage. Thank you so much for hosting us as well, Mr. Gilbert.
It has been a pleasure, and to learn about what you do, and I might well turn up there just to see that performance.
Thank you.
That would be absolutely a delight.
It is quite a lineup of talent, and I like to keep in touch as best I can with the time I have as to what is really happening here in Cayman, because there are a lot of things happening, but it doesn't necessarily get the publicity and everybody knows as it could possibly be.
And that's one of the reasons why we didn't bring in any overseas performers, because we want to keep the focus on our young people, our local talents, because we have many here that has been pushed to the back, and we want to ensure that they are highlighted because they're just as important.
Well, once again, you may want to give the date, time, where it's going to be, and once again thank your sponsors while we await that call seconds before we got to go to the news.
So once again, it's the Rising Stars Dance Ministry presentation of Dance for Christ. It's next Saturday, November 17, Church of God Chapel. That's the Family Life Center off Walkers Road. The gates open at 6. Showtime will be 7 p.m. sharp. We have refreshments on sale. Your MCs will be Brother Ricardo and me, Cheryl T. Lots of entertainment for you. UCCI Dance Group, Honor and Glory Dancers, JJZ Dance Group, Michelle T. will be there. The famous Cousins, of course, for our young people who want to hear some DJs, Cernan Biblica and DJ Zamar, so many others, but of course, at the core, Rising Stars Dance Ministry. The ticket outlets, once again, Funky Tanks and Christ Cathedral. Admission is only $10, pre-sold, $15 at the gate. Children under 12, pay only $5.
And, of course, we have to take a break now, and we go to the 1 o'clock news. So thank you again for being here, ladies, and hopefully at some point, maybe even after the news, that person might call and we'll pass the word along.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It was our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Stay tuned. We will be right back after the 1 o'clock news.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Cayman's new governor heads to Northwood Prison to speak with inmates and staff about conditions and rehabilitation programs. His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper said the United Kingdom is committed to offering support to further improve Cayman's prison system. One of the newest initiatives is the launch of a new independent monitoring board. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, London police said today that they have arrested 6 men over a video that showed a cardboard model of Grenfell Tower being burned on a bonfire, an act condemned by bereaved families and survivors of the apartment block blaze that killed 72 people. The Metropolitan Police Force said 5 men turned themselves in at a police station late Monday and were arrested on suspicion of a public order offence after allegedly creating a copy of the fire-ravaged West London public housing tower. A 6th man handed himself in to police today. The men, who range in age from 19 to 55, were being held in custody today but had not been charged. And it's election day in America, and voters will deliver their first verdict of U.S. President Donald Trump's tumultuous tenure in a midterm that's expected to draw historic numbers to the polls. Immigration, the economy, women's issues, partisanship all weighed heavily on voters' mind as they cast ballots to decide control of Congress and put Trumpism to the test. Though not on the ballot, the president looms large over Decision Day among both supporters and detractors. Across the country, people are talking about his election as one of the most momentous in their lifetimes, a fight for the very soul of America. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Brand Source Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brand Source Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brand Source Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today here on Radio Cayman. And with me in the studio at this time I have persons who are associated with the Cancer Awareness Month and Movember, I think.
It's Movember. It's no longer November. It's Movember. All right?
Okay, Movember. Okay, well, tell us some more about it and who are all the other folks with you?
Okay, so my name is Victoria Gray. I am the volunteer coordinator at the Cayman Islands Cancer Society. I somehow can't seem to remember my other title. Education officer, that should be front and foremost, right? Because we're here to spread awareness and to talk about education, things that we're doing in the community. With me is I'll do beauty before.
Beast.
Yes.
Well, that's got to be Albert, isn't it?
Yeah, he's beast. We have Amanda Nicholson. I'll have her introduce herself and know her title.
Thank you, Vicki. Yes, Amanda Nicholson. I'm the Cancer Registrar for the Cayman Islands Cancer Registry.
And we have Beast here.
Yes, my name is Albert Anderson. I'm representing the Lions Club of Grand Cayman.
Well, thank you all very much for being here, because the matter of cancer is something that is with us now, and I dare say it'll be forever. And we seem to hear so much more about it, different types and so on. I know the Lions Club has done quite a lot there, particularly with men's cancer. And,
absolutely.
Tell us about that. Fill us in as to what you have planned and what you would like to see going forward to get the word out there, and perhaps to get people more conscious of it and what they could do, should do, and what is happening at present.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I think I'll take the rein here.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, every November, we team up with the Movember Committee. So that's a group of men who, you may have seen persons doing a shave off,
yes.
And they're, growing the mustache. So that's the Movember Committee, and they raise awareness in various through various avenues. And then we have the Lions Club of Grand Cayman, which Albert is a part of. Yeah. So we go throughout the districts, and we raise awareness. You've done it in the past where you did clinics. Right, Albert? I think last year you did clinics.
Yeah, we do. Typical area, we'll do a program we'll do a clinic in each district to just talk about men's cancer in particular, focusing mainly on prostate, colon, which isn't just for men, but prostate, colon, and testicular cancer. And so our intention there is to
walk too, isn't it?
But that's all based on the funds we receive from the walk, the PACE walk, which we're now doing in September. And the main goal there was to raise awareness among men and try to encourage men to get testing done so that we can ensure early detection. So that, when we started doing this at the Lions Club, I think when we had the clinics, there were maybe a handful of men showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays we have packed houses. So it shows that the message is getting through.
Yes.
It is. Right. So we kicked off November with a opening night. So the Movember Committee, they had an opening night on Thursday the 1st, where they did their mustache. I see Albert here is
I shave my head
wearing his. And then there are a few other events that will take place during the month. But the big night that we really want to promote is the 15th, which is the Mo Information Night. And Albert, is there something you want to say about that?
Yeah, so we team up as well, the Lions Club, in this the Movember event, particularly the Information Night.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we provide use of the Lions Community Centre for that event. And there we have doctors who will present the ins and outs of men's cancer, prostate in particular. And again, just to raise awareness and allow men in the audience to ask questions who may be experiencing things that they don't know whether it's a symptom or not. And so we get a lot of questions from the men in the audience, and we also provide, with the support of the Cancer Society and some of the labs in Cayman, we provide PSA testing, free PSA testing on the night.
Right.
And that also feeds into our monthly events where we also do PSA testing. So the community in general, the medical community, has been fully on board with this, with us, and providing great support, and we thank them for that.
Indeed. So it's good to know that, you get that kind of participation with doctors, with labs, and
yes,
and so on. And you do find are you finding more or less cases when they do these tests? What are you actually finding?
Well, we don't get the
numbers.
The results go to the individuals, and I think the Cancer Society may get the numbers.
Which is passed on to the doctors. But we will know if there's a reading.
We're keeping stats, aren't we?
That's where Amanda will come in.
Right, yeah.
But to let you know that once the test is done at the Lion Center on the education night, the results will come back to us, and we always find that from the test, there are a few men who will have a high reading. We can't say for sure if it's prostate cancer.
Right.
So their doctor will follow up, and then I guess whether it warrants a biopsy or it's something that has been ongoing for that particular person. So yeah, Amanda, I don't know what sort of stats she has on prostate cancer.
Well, presently in our cancer registry, we have about 420 cases. It's important to note the way that we collect data, too, because the National Cancer Registry that we have here is a lot different than cancer registries in other countries. Usually the way data is reported is medical professionals or pathologists will report cancer cases to a central registry. But in the Cayman Islands, we rely on cancer survivors to voluntarily come to us and provide information. So because of that, we don't have as many cases as we could if we had every physician on the island reporting. So we don't have a lot of information right now, but what we do have does show that the most commonly reported cancer for men is prostate cancer, followed by cancers of the blood and colorectal cancers.
Why is it that, or do you know why it's not the case like elsewhere that a doctor, they don't have to report someone's name. It's a matter of reporting, well, look, I had 6 persons or 10 over the past month. The numbers is the thing, isn't it?
Yes, aggregate data. Most other countries will have something in place, either administrative order or they will have some sort of a piece of legislation that will allow medical professionals and medical facilities to share that information with the central registry. Presently in the Cayman Islands, we don't have anything like that in place. So until we do, we have to rely on volunteers.
Okay, so I missed what you were saying just then. If you could repeat it. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Most countries will have a piece of legislation in place which will allow different medical facilities to share that basic cancer diagnosis, basic information with the registry. But Cayman does not have such legislation in place. So right now we still have to rely on cancer survivors to voluntarily come to us and fill out the form. And it's a quick process. It doesn't take very long at all, but it does still place the burden on cancer survivors rather than on the medical community.
Mm-hmm.
But your position, is that via some legislation, or is it a voluntary thing that you do through the Cancer Society or through the HSA or what?
It's through the Health Services Authority.
Okay.
And it's, any cancer survivor who wants to register is free to do so. We do collect their name on the data collection form to make sure we don't already have them registered. But once we've established that, the name is removed and replaced with an 8-digit code number. So when the information goes in, it's anonymized and it's confidential. But yes, presently we just aren't able to accept any medical information from local hospitals and doctors, and hopefully that will change. There was a piece of legislation drafted in 2015 which would have allowed for that, but I don't believe it's presently being considered.
What, Albert, how do you find, and you've been in the Lions for a very long time, and I know somebody very much involved in it. Do you find a great reluctance among men now to be tested, or is it more now that men are getting smart enough to say, look, it is something they got to do, or I should do, and are doing it?
I think it's changed over the last, 6-7 years since we've been doing this. Initially, definitely there was a reluctance even to get a PSA test done. but more significantly, I guess, the physical examination that men have to undergo for prostate cancer. Over the years, we've seen that reluctance decrease, and the queue at the Lion Center on the 15th, you can stand there, and the queue just gets longer as the night goes on, because people may come in and not even sit in the audience; they just come to get the test done. Which we would like them to sit and listen, but it's more important that they actually get this test done. So I think it has changed, and it's good to see that change. And it's good to know that, through all that, if we save one life, then it's absolutely worth it.
Absolutely. So the test is what, a blood test?
It's a blood test. The PSA test is a blood test that's called prostate-specific antigen.
Yes.
And it's specifically for prostate cancer. I can't tell you any more technical information than that because I don't know. But, it's the recommendation from the doctors is that you do that, but that you also do
the digital
rectal examination, which is what men don't like.
Right.
But I think most men are even coming to terms with that now as well.
Right. So when they do the test, they're looking for the number to be between a range of 0.0 to 4.0. And most times if a number is over the 4.0, then it's cause for alarm or concern. The doctor will have to look into it, and I guess it's based on the age of the individual as well, because as a man gets older, no, I'm not a doctor, but or any medical professional, but I know that it's possible for the number to increase, and even for a younger person, if someone has had their prostate, their PSA test done, and say, for instance, they got it done this year, and it's, say, 1.5, and they go again next year, and they get a test done, it's probably still in a normal range, but the number is, say, 3.5. That's a big difference from the year before. So it is really important for men to get the test done and, know their numbers. Don't just say, okay, I did it last year, I'm not going to get it done this year. It's just a simple blood test. Get it done, and then, you can know how to, treat yourself, how to seek medical service, based on your numbers.
And if I could just add to that, for men it's important. So sometimes you get a result from the lab, and it just says you're okay, you're within the limit. But it's important for men to ask what the number is, so that they can track whether it's increasing or not.
Right.
And that's a message we keep getting from Dr. Slutsky in particular, that we should do that. So I encourage men to track the number and not just accept that it's within the limit.
And as you mentioned, Dr. Slutsky, CTMH Doctors Hospital, they're sponsoring the education night, and Dr. Slutsky will be one of the presenters, along with Dr. Darley Solomon, because I think Dr. Solomon will be focusing more on colon cancer. So, just encouraging people to come out on the night of the 15th. Starts at 7. Blood draw can be a little earlier. We have, maybe 5 labs. HSA, Trin K, 7 Mile Medical Clinic, Med Lab, and CTMH Doctors Hospital. So these labs will be there on hand, to have persons do the blood draw.
And
I just wanted to add to that.
Go ahead.
That these labs and these 2 doctors in particular have been working with us for a very long time, and without their help we wouldn't be able to do this. So I just want to say thanks very much to both Dr. Slutsky, Dr. Solomon, and the labs that we just mentioned.
Well, I don't personally have a lot of information on the event, so, feel free to give as much information on that as you have, and
absolutely,
that would be helpful. It's on the 15th of November.
Yes.
And it is
the Lion Center.
The Lion Center.
Starting at 7 p.m. It's slated for 7 to 9, but who knows, it could go a little bit longer. And we're encouraging the men to come out. If they could, labs will set up by 6:30. So if they can come a little early to get the blood draw done, and then they're there for the presentation, because not just the blood draw is important. Education is also important, and that's what the doctors will be providing on the night of the 15th.
I would also say too that not just the men but the women. Because we found at our workshops a lot of women come, and that's important because with the best will in the world, men just don't even though they would like to, they don't manage the stuff too well.
And not
so
only
it's
that,
great.
Not only that, Albert, sorry to cut you in the middle of your sentence, but we're also focusing on colorectal cancer.
Right.
And colorectal cancer is not just a man thing.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we find that the women encourage their men to go and get tested, whether it's a mother or a wife or a significant other. They encourage men to do what they should be doing annually. And that's important because some of us just, we say, we got to do that. And then 6 months later, you still haven't done it. You know?
So the testing then can also identify changes or conditions, signals from the blood test that might lead one to get a colon examination for colon cancer?
No. The test we'll do on the night is just for the prostate. Yeah. I think...
They don't do any tests, typically do any tests on the night for colon cancer, but the discussion about colon cancer will give men information to see whether they have any telltale symptoms that they should actually go and see their doctor about. So that's also very important.
What do you think is the drawback? To me, just hearing what you have said, Amanda, what seems to be the drawback that we wouldn't get, or something is wrong with doctors, be they whomever, simply reporting the number of encounters they have had, which would build a register for us that we'd really get a better picture of what's happening in that area?
Well, we're fortunate that we do have a really great group of local physicians and cancer organizations who regularly refer their patients and clients to us. Cancer Society, in particular, has been fantastic. But the doctors right now simply aren't allowed to just share information with the registry. I think it would be a breach of confidentiality. I'm assuming that's the issue. But I would say, if this is an issue that people find important, speak with your local health officials. Contact folks at the Ministry of Health. Let them know that you think this is something that needs to be discussed. Maybe we'd give another push for that piece of legislation to pass, and we could have a registry where information is automatically ported from medical professionals.
Hopefully, we're talking here that this is a real situation, and there are even persons who have been unfortunate in having a problem with the prostate cancer, or those who see the value and the good sense in it. They may encourage those who could make a difference by bringing a piece of legislation.
And the registry has the potential to be hugely important. It could provide a basis of information on cancer trends that would dictate what sort of prevention programs are developed and what sort of cancer management strategies are put in place. So it's the potential is there for it to provide a wealth of information.
I think speaking from the position of not being involved in any of this to do with the registry, but some people are still not comfortable with anyone other than their doctor knowing this information, maybe because of fears that it may not be confidential, or maybe they just feel it's very personal information and should be kept between them and their doctor. So maybe that's just something from an education perspective we need to get past, to say this is how it works, and eventually people will feel better about doing it and then go and speak to their representatives or whatever about it.
No.
And I think the confidentiality issue is huge, and it's important that we do continue to stress that it is confidential. This isn't information that is shared with the general public or anyone outside the registry. It's just the same as sharing information with your doctor. But the fact is, if you go and get treated anywhere off island, whether it's the U.S. or the U.K. or anywhere else, you end up on their cancer registry. Mm-hmm. The only difference is we don't have that information here.
Yeah.
it's. I just wonder about it myself. It's to give an instance where I had lots of respect for him, now departed, the MLA and Honourable Haig Bodden. I remember when he passed away as a result of it, and when he went to the States, he came back. He virtually summoned all of us who were in the house then, and he said, "Look, I have cancer. I just want you all to know." And he was in effect somewhat of an advocate for it, that you need to be aware of it, you need to do something about it, and
absolutely.
And I would hope that we'd all get wiser and actually work towards accepting that this is one of the many diseases that there is, and it's something that should be done.
Yeah. And over the years, Lions in particular, as we go through our awareness campaign, we've used prominent figures in the community who have had to deal with either prostate or colon or testicular cancer.
I know, my good friend Roy Bodden has been an advocate.
Roy in particular has been and once again, thanks to those folks who stepped up.
Yeah.
But I can also say that there were quite a number of people we asked to do it who would not, for their own personal reasons, which we respect.
Yeah.
But that's kind of an indication of how some people feel about it.
Yeah. And any other thing you would like to add there, Victoria?
Not much. We just want to make sure at the Cancer Society we are here to educate the public about this disease. So outside of this Movember event, the education night on the 15th, we are ready and available to do presentations at churches, whatever, any corporation. And like I always say, even if it's a group of persons sitting under a tree, we'll go there and we'll share the information. We're not withholding anything from anyone. So people need to know. It's not just, they may see us doing fundraisers as well, but it's not just about fundraisers. It's not just about the walk for the Stride Walk, and we need to get funds from there. Yes, we need funds to take care of our patients, but on the other hand, we are sharing. We want to share information as well. And I wish people would embrace it. Come out to these events.
And the Cancer Society does help a lot of people.
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah. Oh, yes, we do. Amanda did mention, there are 400 persons on the registry. The Cancer Society, right now, we have, if you said 420, we have over 400 patients that we're assisting financially. Thanks to the people in the community. Oh. We are able to help.
Well, that part is definitely good news. It's unfortunate that this is a disease and it gets so many people. We hear so many people now who we hear, well, so-and-so has cancer, or whatever, be it whatever type. But it's good to know that there are persons who step up and actually contribute to the various fundraisers and so on, and they'll be able to help one another. Albert, any last word just before we go wind up?
Just very quickly, that we the Lions Club started this when one of our past presidents passed away from colon cancer several years ago. Past President Lion Delno Hislop.
Yeah.
And that was what spurred us into action on this, and we teamed up with the Cancer Society. And it was very well supported by his widow, Lady Lion Helen Hislop, who unfortunately also succumbed to a different type of cancer earlier this year. So, unfortunately, it took something like that to happen for us to say there is a problem here with men in particular. So, we want to encourage everyone to not wait for something to happen before you spring into action. Be proactive and let's get it done. And if there's any assistance we can provide, we're happy to do that.
You get the last word, Amanda.
All right. I would encourage any cancer survivors who might be listening, if they are interested in registering, especially the men out there, as a way to recognize Men's Health Awareness Month. If you want to join the registry, or if you just have questions, feel free to call me at 244-2560.
Thank you. 244-2560.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here, folks. And this is the type of exchanges where the word gets out, you know, and hopefully people will listen and do some deeper thinking and do what they should do for themselves, you know. So
absolutely.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for the effort that you are putting out there to help everybody, indeed.
Yes.
November 15th, 7 p.m. Be there.
Yes.
And we have to go to a break now. Stay tuned. You're listening to Talk Today. We will be back in just about 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, settle down. There's someone I want to thank. This guy knows how to get the most out of every fill-up. This guy had the common sense to drive into Esso so I could get back on the road. $5,000 richer. Thanks to me. Thank you so much, me. Thank you. Yes.
Spend $25 at any Esso service station and get a chance to win in weekly draws for $5,000 cash. Every week for 5 weeks, we'll be choosing a winner. You can also get a chance to win free fuel and prizes at our weekly spin and win events. That's $30,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Drive into an Esso station today. You'll thank yourself. The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Remember to discard all fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, all foods in canisters, dented, leaking or rusting cans after they have come in contact with flood water. Also discard foods that are stored in cardboard boxes, paper foil, cellophane, and cloth, as well as those in open containers and packages. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Hi, fellow classmates. This is Donna with roll call for our CIHS Class of 78 40-year reunion. Barracuda, Dolphin, Marlin, Tarpon, Wahoo represent. Save the dates, November 9th through the 11th. We want everybody to come out for great food, great music, great company, and great memories. Link up now on the reunion Facebook page, CIHS Class of 78, or email CIHS78@gmail.com for more details. And see you in November. Cutting class reunion will affect your final grade. I wonder if Mr. Whiteside would give me a merit note for this.
Class of 78, call the classy to leave your contact information.
I am president of CIYA, Brianna Bodden, and I approve this message.
Do you have an opinion and want to be heard? Well, you're in luck. The Cayman Islands Youth Assembly is hosting a national youth forum.
Social media has dramatically changed the way we communicate, socialize, and maintain friendships. While there are benefits to living in a digital world, there are also risks.
The forum will be
at the Murray Miller Hall on Friday the 30th November from 7:30 to 8:30.
Admission is free. Refreshments will be on sale. You must be 15 years or older to attend.
Ensure to bring your cell phone for live polling as well.
I am president of CIYA, Brianna Bodden, and I approve this message.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio. Enjoy your mix of pop, hip-hop,
dance hall, urban gospel, Latin hits,
reggae, and soca. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of
Savannah Pharmacy, just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
The pirates having a party, a kind of a masquerade.
The Pirates Week National Festival is here. Don your best pirate costumes and get ready to rock the island with a jam-packed lineup of music, food, parades, fireworks, revelry, runs, song competitions, and underwater treasure hunt, the annual turtle release, children's fun day, beach cleanups, street dances, and so much more. Go to piratesweekfestival.com to see the full list of events. The Pirates Week Festival 2018. It'll be a year to remember. Sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism, the Department of Tourism, Cayman Airways, the TAB, Monster Media, and Radio Cayman.
The whole island is one big party, party, party.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. I am your host, Gilbert McLean. I'm filling in for Sterling Ebanks, and we move to the next segment now, which is actually open line. But I've been fortunate to have someone that everyone knows in the island, and another person who may not be as well known as him. And I'm speaking of Mr. Loxley Banks, who has been the director of broadcasting of Radio Cayman for years, and he's still very active, involved with different shows and so on. And this particular one, he is here to talk about this afternoon, which will be coming up on Friday. And with him is someone that I knew for many, many years when I used to teach at Northside, Mr. Paul Ebanks. Paul, it's good to see you and to have you join us in this particular discussion. Both of these gentlemen are members of the Cayman Islands Veteran Association, and there's various ongoing efforts and activities going on at this time. Some have happened, some yet to come. But Loxley, I would invite you to really tell us what it's all about and exactly what's going down, what's happening.
Well, right now we're really deeply involved with the Cayman Islands Veterans Association Poppy Appeal. And, you know, the poppy is a symbol of, it tells us that there were folks who gave their lives, shed their red blood on the field for the defense of freedom and democracy, and there were quite a number of Caymanians who, made that supreme sacrifice, and we should never really forget that. And the Poppy Appeal helps the Veterans Association to help the veterans who are in the society that needs help. It's all, everything you do comes down to funding, and we only have 2 fundraisers a year, and the Poppy Appeal is one of the main ones, and the gala that we had 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. So that funds the Veterans Association throughout the year, and there are veterans' widows that needs assistance, and there are also some veterans. We still got actually 2 Home Guard members still with us, and So it's worth the cause, and I'm sure that when you went to school, you probably rode around your bicycle or run around your barefoot trying to convince people that they needed a poppy and to give a sixpence or a truffle.
Oh yes, the poppy's been around for a long time. You know, it's every year when this time comes around, it's something that I think generally people feel good about contributing to. You know, be it however much. And it's really quite significant.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in the sort of supermarket areas, and the wonderful thing is that not only do people give generously, they give lovingly, and that's very touching, you know. And when you see the cross-section of people that contribute, you know, it's not a matter of people here or visitors or age or religion or color or anything else. People just generally donate very good. Mm-hmm. And we are very thankful for that.
Indeed. And, you know, you showed me a list there earlier, Loxley, that I was absolutely astonished to see the number of persons, just the name Ebankses, that were involved in that was First World War?
That was the First World War, yes. Now, what that list is, and I had it many years ago and I misplaced it somewhere, and I'm sure it's somewhere in some of my papers, but I was able to get the same list thanks to my big little sister down in Naples, Florida.
Yeah.
She looks into all these things online, and I believe this probably showed up on a website that's been around for quite a while called Cayman something, Cayman Times or something. And they've got all kind of things on there. They apparently have got a little group that researches all these things, and they go into the archives. You might have noticed that this is from the National Archives, the U.S. National Archives.
Yeah.
So Cayman Connection is the name of the...
That's really good.
You mentioned, and on this list that I have here, there are 65. But this is not all the list, because what my sister told me that there's pages and pages and pages, and she sort of picked out the ones that she thought pertain directly to Cayman. And as you mentioned, there's I think 36 e-Bankses on there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, if you peruse it close enough, you can say, well, this was an e-Banks that changed his name down the line to I know I see a Franklin on there, mm-hmm. because some of the e-Banks has changed their name to Franklin, some to Bothwells, some to Farringtons, and some to Bankses, and some to,
But even in the Second World War, we had a number of Caymanians that were merchant marines or seamen, and we had some that actually served in the military with via the UK and the US as well, I think.
Oh yes. Yeah. There were a lot. I would say there was probably upwards of 50 to 60 Caymanians directly involved in the military action during World War II. Now, this is not counting the seamen, because they were, deeply in that action also, even though they were not per se military conscripted, but during World War II, all of the transport that was going on between the U.S. and Britain was under either the British Admiralty, which was a military organization, or the U.S. Army Transport Service. And a lot of them, well, all of them, were awarded military status. Some of them passed on before it came about, but...
So that time involved us, our home guard.
Yes.
And you say there are two who from the home guard who's still alive.
Yes.
And there were those who served as merchant seamen. and some that actually were served in the military. Some of them were prisoners of war, I understand.
Yes, and you mentioned at the top here when we came in that about the CI Retro Talk Today special program presentation that is coming up on Friday, and we will have all of those into a bit more detail in that program. We will have actual narrative from some of those prisoners of war, and we'll have some narrative from some of the historic broadcasts that happened during that area. We'll have a little bit something from Churchill. We'll even have Neville Chamberlain come.
How about that? It obviously seems it'll be comprehensive. We got to take a quick break right now, so stay tuned. You're listening to Talk Today. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
On Friday, November the 9th at 12:15 p.m., you can hear another presentation in Radio Cayman's CI Retro Talk Today special program series on Caymanian history, culture, and heritage, and its importance to the Cayman Islands community and its forward sail, future endeavors, and plans. With Remembrance Day and the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I observances coming up on the weekend, the focus will be on Caymanian involvement, sacrifice, and dedication to the defense and preservation of freedom and democracy. This special CI Retro Talk Today presentation is being brought to you by these fine sponsors. Four Winds Esso in West Bay, serving the West Bay community and the wider Cayman Islands community for over 6 decades. The Ministry of Culture, Flowers Bottled Water, the Cooler Bottled Water, and by the Appliance Doctors. CI Retro Talk Today special program presentation Friday at 12:15 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Thousands of Caymanians work in our cruise tourism industry. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that 4,500 Caymanians work in this industry today as taxi and tour operators, boat captains and crew, restaurateurs, retailers, water sports operators, and ambassadors at our attractions. If our cruise tourism industry is half of what it is today, what are we going to do with our people, the thousands of unemployed Caymanians? Support the peers, support our tourism.
Welcome to our Esso service station. How can I help you today, ma'am?
$25 in fuel, please.
Sure. I bet I can make you smile, too.
Bet you can't.
Would $5,000 cash make you smile?
Of course. Who wouldn't? But how?
Spend $25 or more in fuel at any of our Esso service stations, and you could be the winner of $5,000 cash. Every week for 5 weeks, one lucky winner will win $5,000 cash. Made you smile, didn't I?
I'm smiling.
Drive into an Esso station today. The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Get ready, Cayman, get ready. The Power of Faith Deliverance Ministries presents Dominion Convention 2018 under the theme, Thy Kingdom Come, on November 11th through the 18th. Come hear international and local speakers. On November 17th, come be a part of a brunchy buffet beginning at 11 a.m. and a grand inspiration in the evening at 7 p.m. See you there!
Radio Cayman, your number one community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today here on Radio Cayman. I'm your host, Gilbert McLean, filling in for Sterling Ebanks. And with me I have Mr. Loxley Banks, no stranger to Radio Cayman, and Mr. Paul Ebanks, who has also been, like as Mr. Loxley, did military service, and we're today talking about the Poppy Appeal, which goes on for, in effect, the rest of the month, although there is a date designated when it would stop. But the more that we may sell the poppies or get the contribution, the better it will be for the association. And you were about to speak, I think, on that, say something on that, Loxley, or was it you, Paul? Yeah.
Actually, it was me. Just to let people know that we're actually giving out the poppies for donations from the Seafarers Hall. And there are rules that govern the poppy. It actually finishes on Remembrance Day. But, of course, then we have the task of bringing back in the tins that have been put out, and it's a good task to have. And we just want to make it absolutely clear that Cayman, at least as far as I can remember, has always been a nice little poppy island. I remember going to school, Northside, the town hall. You went bare feet, but when it became poppy time, you had your threepence, and you better come back home with the poppy, because there were kids that would spend the threepence on something else and no poppy. So there was always the chance of people taking the other person's poppy. But
threepence or sixpence,
different
sizes.
A threepence, and nice thing I can remember about is people who could afford 5 shillings, which is in today's money is just like, say, 50 cents, because the dollar started off as the 10 shillings, and they had a nice waxed poppy that they kept on their car, and you remember all these things.
Yeah.
But we are a poppy country, and it's interesting to note the things that you can actually find online now, and you get in there, and a lot of people may not know, but the U.S. forces started wearing the poppy before UK forces. Now, whether there hasn't been a big continuation of that, but that is the kind of information that you can have. And the other thing is we are very aware that it's the public's money and that it's being recorded properly, and it will be put to good use. Like Loxley was saying afterwards, we got a small group that do this. We get older, and the group that we're helping is getting older and more as well. But that is the idea, that the funds must be used here.
And isn't it something, Veterans Day, or there's some kind of celebration around about this time in the U.S. as well?
Yes. They I think they, instead of calling it Remembrance Day, they called it Veterans Day.
Yeah.
But there's a celebration around it. And of course, you got Memorial Day up there, I think, which is 30th of May, I believe, which is another sort of celebration of the military heritage. And but it hasn't really taken on the kind of significance, I think, that is Poppy Day in the States as it did in the Commonwealth countries,
Yeah.
And of course that the poppy all started from one man's view of Flanders Cemetery.
Flanders Field. Yeah.
You remember the poem?
Yes,
we had to learn it. We had to learn to in Flanders Field the poppies grow.
Yeah.
Where's the next line? Between the crosses, row and row.
Yeah.
I can't recall the rest of it, but probably could.
I don't. I remember the poem of Flanders field. I've heard people recite parts of it. It's and that's Paul was referring to a time and the different types of poppies. I remember too, as a young boy, the wax one he was talking about that cost a bit more, but it was something of great pride because you were talking then of a generation who understood and were closer to the times in the days when the fort was out there and the cotton tree where they actually lived those times where they were lookouts for submarines and the like, so it had a greater significance in those times than what it did now. We've grown away from so many different things. Even warfare is conducted in different ways now than what it was in those times. You can have a drone or whatever up there 5 miles in the sky and they can fire and fire a missile and it's self-guided to hit the target. So
all these various aspects will be covered in the program coming up on Friday. But you mentioned the poppies, the wax poppies, and it just went back through my mind. I believe that we used to make them out here. I believe they were made from crepe paper and waxed, because you remember we had artisans around here that used to make flowers out of, because you could get, I think it was called crepe paper, all different colors, and somehow they would use wax. I'm not sure whether it was just they went down to the bees man got his wax. I mean,
or from the Marion store, because that was the popular. They were the best known stores here in Cayman. There was one in every district. There was a branch in every district. But I came across something here and talking about changing times and so on. There's a caption on yesterday's newspaper: Christmas tree shortage expected this year. Now, the article is talking about the importation of Christmas trees into Cayman. Now, could there ever be a shortage of Christmas trees back in times that we can remember? I suggest no, because what were the Christmas trees? They were the beautiful willow trees, and they were free, and everybody knew where to go along South Sound, and they seem to be almost gone now, and different parts of the island, and you cut your Christmas tree and you took it home,
7 Mile Beach was like a Christmas tree farm come this time of year.
Yes.
Well, actually, last year, our kids had grown up and gone, so we decided, yes, we should still have a Christmas tree. And I went next door and got a small coconut tree and decorated that. And to me, that was so nice. If you get the right size and have it in a container that has some moisture in it, it'll last for a very long time. And this is just local stuff, so you can get a one that has a good shape. And I was
the lights the same way on it.
I was sending out messages from under the coconut tree.
Yeah, but I remember those willow trees, and and they were conical shaped as well,
very much so, yeah.
And they lasted a long time before they withered, So I even remember some people would do the what we call the wild coffee tree,
the calomel.
Yeah, they were used as well, Anyway, it's good to have these reflections, and what we're talking about is putting out some information there for those who might know. But we got to pause and take the 2 o'clock news at this time. Stay tuned. You're listening to Talk Today. We'll be back right after the news.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Police serving search warrants have recovered a large number of items, everything from jewelry and watches to cell phones and power tools. And now they've posted a gallery of photos online on their website to try and reunite the items with their original owners. Head to rcips.ky to view the stolen goods. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, voters are casting ballots for all 435 members of the House of Representatives, 35 of the 100 seats in the Senate, and 36 out of 50 state governors. Democrats need to unseat at least 23 Republicans to take control of the House and at least 2 to seize the Senate. Many see the election as a referendum on U.S. President Donald Trump's presidency. 6 people have been arrested in France on suspicion of planning to carry out a violent attack on President Emmanuel Macron. The individuals, reported to be 5 men and a woman, were picked up by the French security services in Brittany, northeast and southeast France. An investigation is now taking place into a criminal terrorist association, a judicial source has said. And the amount of time children spend on devices has little effect on how long they sleep. That's according to a study from Oxford University. It runs counter to previous research that suggested excessive screen time was linked to children failing to get sufficient rest. The survey concluded that the relationship between sleep and screen use in children was extremely modest. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today, where we have with us in the studio Mr. Loxley Banks and Mr. Paul Ebanks. And they're here today talking about matters related to the Cayman Islands Veteran Association and also the Poppy Appeal. And Mr. Banks, you have some further information or comment on this particular area and what is happening now or what will soon be occurring on Friday and you know, from what you tell me, there seems to be, it's going to be somewhat of a treat of all the different information that you have available for Friday's show.
Well, yes, we're trying to put together a show that will, because let me just say, this might be my last rodeo or foray into this kind of.
No, don't let it be.
This series, but
be like the ever-ready battery. Just keep going and going and going.
But trying to be quite comprehensive about it. I mean, there'll be a lot of coverage on people who have served directly in the military, because there are reports that we had Caymanians serving in the Spanish-American War, and that goes back to the 1890s or late 1890s. World War I, we had Caymanians over there, and of course the next big conflict was World War II. Many Caymanians served there. After World War II, it was the Korean conflict. We had Caymanians there, Caymanians on the front line in Korea. And then all the other scrimmages in between there, in the Mideast there, the Suez Canal, and crisis when they blocked the Suez Canal and curtailed all the transport in between there, and they had to go there and clear that. And then, of course, came along the Vietnam War, and then all the Gulf Wars and the Afghanistan War and the Iraq War. And Caymanians have always been in the foray of those things. I mean, and you think back to, I think it it goes back to Caymanian dedication to freedom, and we could even look back to, I guess, when they had to send the West Indian Regiment down here to quell to quell the question
rebellious Caymanians
for freedom.
Yeah.
And so it's always been that way. And looking at this,
we got a call. We're going to take calls. I think we have a caller. So let's hear what that caller has to say. And by the way, the number to call is 1-800-534-8255. Caller, you're on the air. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gilbert McLean.
Oh, good afternoon, Miss Georgette. How are you?
And good afternoon to Mr. Loxley. I've known him forever, just like I've known you forever, Mr. Gilbert. But Mr. Paul, maybe I know your family. I can't say I would call them now.
Mr. Bertram Ebanks from North Side.
Bertram Nalvern, yeah, from in the hot North Side.
Mr. Alvern and Mr. Bertram?
Exactly.
Your parents?
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, I didn't mean to shout, but that's wonderful. Then may God bless you. You, Mr. Gilbert, you, Mr. Loxley, and you, Mr. Paul, and my good, darling friend, Miss Susan back there, and all the rest of the staff. May he bless all of you and keep you safe over this weekend.
Thank you.
I have something to say, if you don't mind.
No, please go ahead.
Is it true they say there's a shortage of Christmas trees?
Yes, it made the front page of the newspaper yesterday.
But you mean the foreign ones?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Come on, let's some good old talk now. Well, my dear, I say to all of you and all the people within the sound of this old woman's voice, one of my most wonderful memories, I know you all have heard about Miss Lassie.
Oh, yes.
Miss Lassie from South Sound, the one that they have her house preserved.
Yes.
Well, her son Richie, who is now deceased quite a while, he cut down a little willow tree from way up the road from where I was living at the time in South Sound with my two oldest daughters, Anita and Ella. And it was just the right size, and I think it was some sort of a bucket or tin pan. We put it in with sand. But what I would like to share with you, Anita and Ella, especially Anita, who is very artistic. She's older than Ella, and Ella too. They made little figurines and stuff out of paper, and they decorated that tree with, I think I have about 3 or 4 of the little figurines still left. I treasure them like if they were the gold from Fort Knox. And I didn't do it, but I heard of people who would get the silver-looking paper from chewing gum and decorate their trees with that too. And if people would just go down different little roads in the North Sound, because my daughter Ella quite often takes me for a drive down there, there are thousands of little willow trees, and she's so in love with willow trees that she has about 3 or 4 in little pots at her yard where she lives in her house.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps trimming them, and she'll make them into a nice shape. They won't be huge to go out in the yard. So there is no shortage of trees that can be used, willow trees as we call them. I think the correct name is Australian pine. but we've all known them as
Willow trees, yes.
And anybody who wants to take a drive, go down there and they can find any size to suit them. And then get the family together and decorate them. That's what Christmas is all about. Being together and loving and caring for each other. So that's enough of my mouth now. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Georgette.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
You know that she brought in the Christmas thing there, and this time of year, boy, there was years ago there would be big preparations, those sand yards getting ready to be all white.
Yes.
And I'm not sure whether it's moonlight this Christmas or not, but that was a big thing, having a moonlight Christmas, and a lot of romances kind of got there.
Yeah, absolutely.
got their big push on those sandbacking. And the big thing was, West Bay had a lot of beach, so there was a lot of sandbacking, and you'd the ladies usually was the one that was doing the sandbacking, but the gentlemen, they would be there on the beach to help them with this big basket.
Yes.
You mentioned the big basket that they would carry on their backs, because they couldn't lift the basket up off the beach and get it on their back, so you'd have to have what you call, give me a hep up.
We have another caller, so shall we take another call and hear what is on the mind of this caller? Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. A very good afternoon. Is this Brother Ebanks?
Pardon?
Is this Brother Ebanks?
Yeah, Paul Ebanks, yes. Paul Ebanks, yes.
All right. And is this Brother McLean?
Yes, Gilbert McLean.
And is this Mr. Loxley?
That is correct. You have it right.
All right. Well, look here. I'm telling all of you a very good day. Brother McLean?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello.
You remember Brother McLean?
Uh-huh.
I just want to say hi and bye to you, and I'm happy to hear your voice, and I just imagine seeing you. You remember Jewels of Cayman?
I do.
All right.
Yes.
I was there.
Okay.
All right. And the next person now is Mr. Loxley. You remember Kiwanis Club?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
All right.
Very active
club. You remember Mr. Basil?
Oh, yes. Oh,
all
Robert,
right.
yeah,
I was there with you, and I remember you were exceptionally nice.
Right. Yes.
And I'm just feeling happy to say, how are you people today? And I'm glad to hear your voice, and I'm happy to hear from you, and I'm saying goodbye, and may the Lord bless you always.
And the very same to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to take a quick break now after that call, but if there are other callers, please do give us a call. The number is 1-800-534-8255, and we are here speaking with Mr. Loxley Banks and Mr. Paul Ebanks about Poppy Day and about the Cayman Islands Veteran Associations generally, and we've had 2 callers now which we thoroughly enjoyed. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Puritan Cleaners would like to advise valued customers of our new hours of operations at 2 of our stores, starting November 1st. Centennial Towers West Bay, open 8 a.m., close 1:30 to 3 p.m., and reopen 3 to 6:30 p.m. And Savannah Countryside, open 8 a.m., close 1:30 to 3 p.m., and reopen at 3 to 7 p.m. Opening hours at Puritan Cleaners Elgin Avenue and Eastern Avenue stores will remain the same, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., except Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. For further information, call 949-7104.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Cayman's cruise industry must be preserved and developed. It is a myth that the cruise lines will continue to call on Cayman at the rate they do now without the piers. It is a fact that the mega-class ships will not be tendered. Arrivals will decline by half over time as the older ships are decommissioned. This will hurt our economy and thousands of Caymanians who work in this industry. If we want to continue providing opportunities for Caymanians, we need the piers. Support the piers. Support our tourism.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today, where we've been having an interesting discussion with Mr. Loxley Banks and Mr. Paulie Banks. And we've had two callers, and should anyone else wish to call in and say something about what we've been discussing, the number to call, toll-free, is 1-800-534-8255. Back to you, Loxley.
Yeah, well, we got back to what this Cayman Islands Veterans Association is all about, helping the veterans in need. And this weekend is really a big celebratory time, because it's the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. 11/11/11/11. And even over in Europe, there's big things. They've brought the actual car or railroad car that, I think it's a replica, because I think the other one had rusted down, but of the railroad car that in the First World War that Germany surrendered to France. Now, history tells us that Hitler brought that very same railroad car back to the forest, Compiègne, I think, is French anyway, in the French forest, to accept the French surrender in 19, I guess would have been 40, whenever that happened. Mm-hmm. And they've brought it back to the forest in France, and Angela Merkel and Theresa May, I think, is going to meet. She's British, but I think she's going to be on the sidelines. But Macron, the French president, are going to meet there and shake hands on Sunday.
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And of course, here, we got the Remembrance Day ceremony coming up, and we're hoping, in fact, there's an article, I believe, in the paper today about it, that all the church bells on Cayman, in the Cayman Islands, Cayman Bracket, Little Cayman, would ring their bell 11 times, I think, is what we're going for, 11, at 11 o'clock. And that can be coordinated. Those churches out there listening, that hopefully that all of them will participate. You'll just have to have a radio tuned into Radio Cayman, because Radio Cayman, I think Susan is going to be down there at the wheel. We'll be broadcasting live the ceremony, and they would facilitate a proper coordination with the countdown when the bell in the church at Elmslie certainly will ring, and the moment that would start to ring, the signal could go over Radio Cayman that the bells are now ringing, and the churches all across the island would pick up the.
Would be something different, really. And I wonder. I think Bodden Town Presbyterian Church still has a bell.
They still have a bell.
And I think there's at least one in West Bay, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a few in West Bay, and I believe that the Adventist Church in Bodden Town might also have one. Somehow
I'm not quite sure,
it
but
strikes me.
that is something of
and
historic
the East End
consequence
Church,
to it.
The East End Church has a bell. I know East End Presbyterian Church or United Church, and probably Gun Bay. I don't think they gave up their bell to Gun Bay.
I know Gun Bay had one, yes.
And they're not likely to give it up.
That would really be something to synchronize that, to have those churches do that, the ringing of the bell.
Well, Protocol is working with the Cayman Island Veterans Association, and we're working with them. We're all working together, and to try
really be something different.
Try to accomplish that, because it's quite a very relevant occasion. 100 years, of course. World War I, when it ended, was called the War to End All Wars, and just 19
World War II.
19 months or 19 years hence, you were involved in the big and referencing back the program that's coming on Friday, you'll hear some really historic broadcast moments when a lot of these historical things happened. Like I mentioned that we'd have Chamberlain got off the plane in London when he came back from his conference with the Fuhrer, and his words similar was that the Fuhrer promised me last night at a meeting that once the Sudeten, and that was where Hitler was at then, trying to get I think Poland, annex Poland, and once that was settled, he would have no more thoughts of conquest.
Which wasn't quite true.
Which wasn't quite true. And then, of course, Churchill with his great prose and speeches, and we'll have maybe a few seconds from President Truman, and I think it'll be a very historic broadcast, and people who have never heard these things before, especially on the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, and the annual celebration of Remembrance Day, should make sure they tune in on Friday at 12:15. Of course, the programs will be repeated after that the following Sunday and then the following Thursday. But there'll be publicity to affect that, and I might say here that a lot of folks in the corporate world they're helping us with this, so it's
that's something to look forward to. Really, it's something different.
And Gilly, you going to be here?
Yes. Likely I'll be here.
But and getting back to this list that you made mention a while ago, we're going to try to. I see a few names on here that we can connect to today's fellas, ladies who are working within the Cayman Island economy, their grandfathers, and I think that's as close as we could get. Because these gentlemen that's on this list, they were all born in the really latter part of the 18th century or the very early part of the 19th century, because they would have all been 18 years old, at least at that time, for the U.S. Draft Board to register them. And they were all... Now, I don't believe many of these guys actually went to war, but they were ready to be called up, because I think the U.S. only entered the World War I around the latter part of 1917 or the latter part of 1916, 17. In fact, it was the U.S. that went over there and really saved the continent from the domination of Germany at that point. And so Caymanians were very, very much involved in there.
I mean, it would be, to me, such a big thing that just to have a list of the Caymanians that have served and, have that where everybody can see. And that's what we're working on, really.
Yeah, and we appeal to any body out there who believes or thinks that their families may have served in a military capacity, either in the Commonwealth countries or the U.S. and Canada, because we had a couple of people serving in the Canadian forces, I think during World War II, and henceforth Mr. Watler from Charlie's brother was with the Canadian Air Force, I think, for quite a long time.
Keith.
Yes. And so Cayman has been all over, and of course during World War II with I would think that there were upwards of 150, maybe 200, 250 Caymanian seamen, and these were besides the ones that went to Trinidad. Other seamen out there on plying the oceans, delivering goods to, be it armament or food stuff across the way.
A number of them stuff are being torpedoed and
yes,
so on. I understand some were even there were some torpedoed even off a distance off here.
Yes. On the program on Friday, you will hear a vivid description of just what you said. He wound up being a prisoner of war, and he described of him seeing a big ship on the horizon, and 10 seconds, the Sparks, that's the radio operator on their ship, they said, cut your engines, no radio contact, stay where you're at. And he described what happened. They came up close to him and torpedoed him, and these were Cayman, these were guys that and some of them came back home and went back into society. Some of them went back to sea actually, and served in the U.S. Merchant Marine.
Yeah.
And we got about another minute. Do you want to remind me that?
Yes. Any thing that you would like to highlight? We have about a minute left, and so I want to thank you for being here and helping fill this segment with historical stuff. So give you an opportunity of either of you or both of you for any final remarks.
I think what I would like to see, and for everyone out there to know, all the listening audience, all Caymanians to know, that lest we forget, Caymanians have served and continue to serve. And by the way, they're serving on the correct side of the axis. So that is very important. Caymanians have contributed to making peace, and when we have a democratic way of life, progress will follow.
And we ought to cherish it. And just a reminder here where the poppies the veterans will be in the float parade with their cans and poppies, so that everybody can be reminded again to, the poppy appeal is still on, and contribute if you can. If you can't, you still got a poppy.
And this is in a float parade
on Saturday
on the Pirates
Pirates
Street.
Okay. Yes. And tune into the program on Friday at 12:15.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Banks. Thank you, Mr. E. Banks, and thanks to all our listeners. It has been a pleasure being here with you. And tomorrow we will be back on air again, and do tune in at that time. We have some interesting stuff. We have coming up Child Evangelism Fellowship. We have folks from the Red Ensign Group, and we have the Hope for Today Foundation. And the last segment we have with the Honorable Ezra Miller and opposition members. So tomorrow we have a jam-packed time, so please just stay tuned. We will be with you again tomorrow. And as of now, we say goodbye and enjoy the rest of the day.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.